This podcast is sponsored by the following sponsors. The Real Real. Buy and sell luxury clothing, bags, and more on The Real Real. Get $25 off your first purchase when you go to therealreal.com/happy. Shopify, the e-commerce platform I trust for Glossy. Sign up for your $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/happy. Brevo, meet the all-in-one marketing and CRM platform for your business. Get started free or save 50% for 3 months with code HAPPY at brevo.com/happy. Airbnb, start making money by listing your home on Airbnb with the support of an experienced co-host. Find a co-host at airbnb.com/host.
I've been through 3 or 4 different shifts in the economy. The panic and the chaos and the craziness, usually all that, it can either affect you or not. We have the opportunity to give it a different frame. When everybody's scared, wow, I wonder if I could find opportunity. When everybody's making a decision, what if I just hold? And then when everybody sits on their hands, what if I attack, right? And to not panic, to not make harsh decisions, and to say what opportunities exist, I think that sets us apart.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Earn Your Happy podcast. Today on the show is a good friend of ours and former neighbor for a few years, Dean Graziosi. And he came out to Newport Beach to film this episode, and we got to go to dinner with him and one of his amazing children, which was so much fun. And he is a New York Times best-selling author. He's also the co-founder of mastermind.com with Tony Robbins. And they have created programs that help train over 100,000 entrepreneurs. I have taken quite a few of those programs. He's a self-made real estate millionaire who completed his first deal at 19 years old and has now generated over $1 billion in sales. He is the host of the Own Your Future podcast and live events, which Chris and I have gotten to go on, and we absolutely loved doing that podcast, loved that conversation so much. He's an incredible father and friend. I admire the way that he holds boundaries, especially in the busy season. And if the news has you doom scrolling and second guessing every business move right now, this episode is your reset button. At our Reset Elite Entrepreneur Mastermind, Chris and I were honestly surprised at our last mastermind, knowing that high performers are really freaked out and worried about what's going on in the world, the tariffs, the roller coaster stock market. Should I be worried? You guys, we get it. We feel that too. Chris and I sit down with Dean every year on this podcast, and there is no better time than right now for this topic, talking about exactly this. Dean shares how he's turned his messy economic downturns into springboards for next level growth. And he breaks down exactly how to reframe fear, spot the openings everyone else misses, and set stretch goals that make playing small feel impossible. This episode is full of ways to switch your mindset. It's full of ways to get back in the game. It's full of ways to show you how successful people think during these times, you guys. So if you're craving a jolt of optimism, this is your podcast. Let's get started.
Dean, welcome to both of our shows.
Yes, you're on Earn Your Happy and the Chris Harder Show.
Now we
I
do
like
this
it. I like it.
every single year. This has become a tradition,
It
right?
has. It has.
Normally, you're at your East Coast lake home. We're at our lake home in Wisconsin typically.
Yep.
This year, we're a little bit earlier, so we're in Newport.
I know. I like it.
And we're in
I like
person.
it. And we're in person. What could be better than
This
this?
is better.
I missed you guys,
This
so I'm
is
glad I
better.
get to say
I know.
hi.
This is way better in person. So let's jump right in to the economy and some of the stuff that's going on. And here's why I want to start there. We hosted our high-level mastermind a couple weeks ago, and we were shocked how many people were concerned about the economy and tariffs and stock market doing the wild things it's doing and all that. And these are high performers that usually you feel like they've got a grip, right?
Yeah.
And then I've seen a trickle-down effect with other people dropping into the DMs saying, hey, should I be worried? So the fact that you get to hang out with so many famous economists and you've got a different point of view than the average person, is this finally the time to worry?
Yeah, a really great question. I have to say, and it could be just more years on this planet.
Yeah.
That even in my, picture 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, right? I'm halfway through my 50s. And over time, if you have enough things that go wrong and you see the other side, I should say go wrong. I've been through 3 or 4 different shifts in the economy. And when you see the other side of it, I think over time, it makes you realize that the panic and the chaos and the craziness, usually all that, it can either affect you or not.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really like duh, but a couple of things I want to share. If you Google Fortune 500 companies, do you know the majority of them were started in a down economy?
I've heard that.
Yeah, but you just Google it and it says it's like 60% were started in either a recession or a down shifting economy, right? So I think through that, and of course, please know, I'm not saying people shouldn't worry. Yeah. We all have that internal worry. We all work hard for what we have. We don't want it taken away. But when I look through a lens like that, what I believe, and maybe it's the optimist in me, and we all have to work to be an optimist, and history, and I'd have to be crazy not to see patterns at this phase of my life. But I think when the economy shifts, and that happens, you guys have high-level masterminds, so do Tony and I, right? I think so many people, when you get a little nervous, you get a little uncertain, you sit on your hands. And I almost feel like if you're playing soccer, it's like you back up into the goalie and say, oh my God, let me protect. And you know, you can't win a game by just protecting. Now, when it immediately happens, I get it. But you got to find a way to rebound and find that hunger and look for opportunity in this, because when most people sit on their hands and most people get fearful, I think it's the most incredible time to find opportunity, because when things shift, we're looking at the obstacles where there's a few that find a way to look at opportunity. And I think if we can find a way to work on the inner game to get a little more like strength in this time, if we can Google what could go wrong, right? If you look at stocks, I mean, even Monday, it was like 3 Mondays ago that felt like the world just tanked. Yes. So many people called me and I'm like, maybe it's my age, but just hold your breath for a little bit. Don't sell anything. Don't react. I think those, like if someone said, what do you work on? You have to work on you, right? Not to oversimplify it, but to not panic, to not make harsh decisions, and to say what opportunities exist. Yeah, I think that sets us apart.
Yeah, I would agree, because you can't control the stock market, you can't control the economy, but you can control your reaction, and you can control your mindset, and you can control the actions that you take, and you can control the optimism. You mentioned, you know, at this point, you're just very optimistic by default. I'm optimistic by default. Those are the things you can control. And there's opportunity in everything.
You know, we could go in a lot of directions, but when you're feeling stressed, and being partners with Tony Robbins doesn't, you know, it helps a lot, right? It doesn't hurt, I should say, right? But when things go wrong, when we feel at our worst is when we don't feel we have a compelling future, right? If you look at like half of millennials and a lot of Gen Z, they're the most depressed generation we've ever had, the most on antidepressants we've ever had, the highest suicide. Jeez. You could just Google it and find that. And Tony and I had these conversations, and what we've talked about is, and this has nothing to do with politics, but when you have the media saying the environment is going to end the world 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, or if you didn't like Biden or you didn't like Trump, or you don't like both of them, you like both of them, whatever it is, the president will end it, or it's going to be an oligarchy, or tariffs are going to ruin our world, or inflation's going to change, or our dollar is going to be worth nothing like Venezuela in 10 years, and it's going to take a wheelbarrow of money to buy a loaf of bread. When stuff like that is said so much to a whole new generation who hasn't had enough time on this earth, what happens? I don't have a compelling future, therefore who cares about today?
Yes.
If we said tomorrow, no matter how hard you work, Lori, 4 podcasts a week, I can't even believe it. Amazing. No wonder you're so good at it. You guys are both doing so. I love watching your hustle. You guys are doing fantastic things for the world. But if someone came in today and said, I know for a fact, here's a crystal ball, in 5 years, the world's over. Maybe tomorrow you don't wake up and hustle like you do.
Right. Totally.
Right? Like, or if you said, you know, the business is like, so I feel like when this happens, what is happening to us is we are thinking our compelling future is over. So if we are brave enough, if we are bold enough to say, this doesn't feel good in this moment, but my future is so big and so compelling that I will be resourceful, I'll be innovative, I'll adapt, I'll adjust, I'll pivot. It just gives you a different perspective rather than life's going to hell in a handbasket, dollar will be worth nothing, the environment's going to end it. And I think 3 Mondays ago, whenever the market crashed, that immediate reaction is, it's over. Yeah. This is the big one.
This is the big one.
How many times in your life has the big one already been coming?
At this point in my life, plenty of them. Like, to the point where I don't even react that way anymore.
How can you react to it? It's like it's the boy who cried wolf. And I'm not saying it's not difficult, and I'm not saying there's a shift, but we have to find a way to be bold enough to think that innovation, creativity, listen, I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
But I do know that oil used to be the sticky stuff on the bottom of camels' hooves.
Mm-hmm.
What changed it? Innovation switched it from sticky stuff to things that power everything around us. I believe innovation will find a new way to power things. I believe AI could ruin us, or I want to believe it's going to empower us. We get that choice. You know, I just said this recently to somebody else, but I remember when Wayne Dyer, I don't know if you like old Wayne Dyer
absolutely.
stuff. I remember listening to a live interview of Wayne Dyer when he found out he had leukemia. And when he found out he had it, at first he was like, what did I do wrong? Did I drink too much? Did I eat wrong? I should have exercised more. It's my sleep. He had all these things. And he said he went through weeks of just, damn, I got leukemia. It's going to kill me. Why did I do it? And he said, then just one day, and of course he's got lots of practice. He was Wayne Dyer for gosh sakes, right? But he said he woke up one day and was like, you know, no matter what, I have leukemia. But I'm going to be the crazy bastard who beats leukemia.
Yes.
I'm going to be the guy that everybody can look to and go, if Wayne did it, I can do it. And he said, in one day, he woke up and said, okay, I got leukemia. I'm going to beat it. And he said everything changed. He still had it, but he had a different frame around it. And he said, and now he ended up passing away of a heart attack, I think, or heart issues, not the leukemia. But it just made me realize any circumstance that's going on, though not easy, we have the opportunity to give it a different frame.
Yes.
When everybody's scared, wow, I wonder if I could find opportunity. When everybody's making a decision, what if I just hold? And then when everybody sits on their hands, what if I attack?
Right.
Right. And I just think that's the only way we can get through it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think about that a lot because people will come. I was just thinking of this with the mastermind. People were coming up to me and they were, you know, concerned about the economy and all these things. And I was thinking, wow, I wasn't even fully aware of everything going on. You know, he informs me of a lot of stuff, but I try to stay off because I feel an immediate energy
Isn't that
suck.
crazy though? If you didn't know, you just keep working hard.
I literally realized like I was
day.
having some really great things happening in my business because I was so focused there and what I could do and
what you can control.
What I can control. And so I had this moment of like, wow, what this person is consuming is truly taking away from any action or energy that they can move forward. Because if I was looking at the same thing, I'd be in the same boat. I wouldn't be doing 4 podcasts a week because I have no energy and I'd be like, this isn't really worth it. And why am I doing this? And just like you said, you know, in these moments of like downtime, it makes me think about asking the question, well, what do people need right now? Like, what would they need? What support would they need if they're feeling this bad? What support do they need if this is what they're thinking? And just changing that conversation. I feel like there's always something we can do.
Without a doubt.
I want to frame the year that I just had.
Okay.
Just so the listeners can catch up because they may not be aware. In the last 12 months, Frello, which you're an investor in, so you're aware, we woke up overnight last June and the CFPB made a decision where suddenly a couple $1 million in and 2 years of hard work, we couldn't flip the on switch on. We're just weeks from flipping the on switch on. And that was my first like punch to the gut, right?
Yeah.
So that began stress, which then gave me a stroke in September, and I'm 50% blind in my right eye now, and some other neurological things.
I had no idea.
Yeah, isn't that wild? And so then, boom, another punch to the gut, right? Then a couple other things happen, and here we are, maybe 10 months in from all that, and you can see my little broken chicken wing here. I tear my bicep off my shoulder and have to get surgery and do rehab and all that stuff. And yet, I'm still incredibly optimistic. Now, I want to be clear. I wasn't optimistic the whole way.
Of course
I wasn't
not.
happy the whole way.
You wouldn't be human.
I had bad days and bad weeks and bad months, and I doubted the decisions I made, and I doubted myself. But the reason why I frame that is I don't know if it's the reps. I don't know if it's the mindset practice. I don't know if it's the people I have, that I surround myself with. But I probably, on paper, shouldn't be as optimistic as I am right now. Why do you think I'm built that way? You've known me for a while now. Why do you think somebody like you is built that way? And what advice do you have for someone who has their version of a year like that?
Oh, God, such a great question. I'm sorry you went through all that. You know, if you don't mind, I'm going to share a little something.
Yeah.
And I think it is time on this earth. Yeah. Right? Because in a year like that, if it was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, would be completely different outcomes. Right?
Yep.
Of how I would feel about it, how I would approach it. I'm sure I'd get through it. You got it through it so elegantly. There's a way that we can change sooner than later. Everybody says, I went through this mess. 10 10 years later, they look back, go, thank goodness I went through the divorce. I found the love of my life. Thank God the business partner stole all my money because I found out he was bad and I started my own thing. But when you're in it, you can't be like, I'm so glad I'm getting robbed from. Like you're in it. It sucks.
I love being robbed.
But can we condense that time? For example, every action has a reaction, and we have the opportunity to frame what it means. Yeah. Right. Maybe the shoulder, like I know this sounds, maybe the shoulder, it was time with all that you had going on to slow down, and it's time to reflect. And maybe you can't work out in the morning, so you read for a while, or maybe you're journaling for a while. And as you're journaling, something happens and pops in and it solves another problem. And then someday you look back, connect the dots and go, if I didn't have that stroke, if I didn't have the thing with my arm, if the business didn't delay, we wouldn't have found that thing. And I think it's just having the ability to connect the dots sooner. As a kid, I've told this story before, but not often, so I wanted to share. As a kid, my dad was the youngest of 12, was physically abused and went through some really tough times. Right? His dad knocked his teeth out, and finally his mom took him away from his dad, and all this kind of crazy stuff. Old school Italian guy from a small town, East Coast, just never got counseling, but he had so much anger built up inside him, chased away 4 wives, my sister doesn't talk to him, who's for 25 years. His sister and brothers and sisters didn't talk to him. So you could just imagine he just pushed everybody away. Yeah. 12 years old, I moved in with him. And he was like the coolest dad who let me drive a car to school at 13. Taught me how to just respond like, you want to go to school? Here, take the keys. Taught me how to hunt, did all this fun stuff. Also, just a crazy bastard who did so much insane stuff that it caused me to have nervous issues and, just, I had an ulcer at 12 years old because I was worried about him.
Both ends of the spectrum.
Right. So the reason I'm telling you that is because there was a time living with him that I could see him come through the door, and I'd call him, his name was Paul. He's still with us, right? He's 88 years old. Like I'd see crazy Paul come through the door. Something must have happened that day. And I could feel his emotions. And by the time, I don't know if I was 13 or 14, I could manipulate his emotions to go into the dad I loved. Right? So I could look back about changing your past, and I wish I could have done it sooner is all I'm saying. I could say, man, it was really hard to make it with having a father that treated me the way I had an ulcer at 12 years old. He drove me crazy, scared my mom away, all this kind of stuff. But that's not the way I get to look at it. You know how I look at it now? He taught me how to read and feel people. So now I feel like I can go on a stage with 50,000 people, and sometimes I'll be planning one slide deck. I'm like, screw that. I can feel what they need. I'll shift. And whether it's true or not, I feel like I get to be good on camera and be partners with Tony Robbins and do really cool stuff and do an event with McConaughey. We had 2 million people live. And I feel like I could feel them. And it was the gift I got from my dad because I had to feel his emotions or life wasn't good.
It's incredible.
So I've changed that part of my history. My sister doesn't have the chance to change that because she's looking through the lens of what he did. I'm like, yeah, what he did, he made me a badass dude at what I do. I'm grateful for him. Took time and all that. But my only point to maybe someone listening needs to hear it, my buddy Trent Shelton had a year like you did. He lost his mom. A couple days later, lost his grandmother. A couple days later, neighbor mowing the lawn. A rock hit his daughter in the head, passed her out. They almost lost her in the hospital. And then like 2 weeks later playing basketball, his nephew snapped his Achilles heel. So it reminds me so much of some of the things you had. And he went through that same thing. He was in a tough spot, one of the most greatest inspirational speakers there are, in a tough spot. And then one day just realized, man, he found all the gifts in all of it and found a way to collapse that. And people say, well, you're overly optimistic. It's like, no, we all go through the hell. It's just, how long do you want to stay in the hell?
Yes.
Right? How long do you want to focus on what the president's doing or what the government's doing or the economy's doing or what tariffs are doing until you get back to seeing opportunity rather than obstacles, seeing the best rather than the worst, looking back at your history and realizing you're resourceful and that with the right temperament, the right frame of mind, this might be the time that you actually have the breakthrough you've been looking for, start the business you've been dying to start, scale the thing that's ready to be scaled.
This concept of overly optimistic, I mean, what's the alternative? To sit in the pain, to sit in the poor me, it's a
true story.
I just don't understand how that serves you as opposed to choosing to be optimistic or overly optimistic, because one of them is going to spring you into opportunity.
You can even say, how about, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking like being brave enough to be optimistic, because it's obviously, this might sound uncool or unpopular, but I almost feel like there's a group that like you're an outlier if you're optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's easier to look at all the things that are wrong.
Yeah.
And
it's easier to fit in.
it's easier to fit
negative.
in and go, yeah, I know, I get it. That's work. Yeah,
Totally.
I get it. How could we make it with all that's going on? And yes, look, like, I don't know. I think maybe we all need to be even more brave and more optimistic and be the oddball at the conversation.
I think that's what we're doing. I think we lead by example.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know we don't all have easy years. We don't all have easy times. We all have our shit going on.
Yeah.
But I think we get to set that example that there's still a way to come out on top on the other end. And like you say,
I love
condense
that.
it.
What would you say to somebody who, you know, they're trying to be a leader right now, and maybe they are, I'm just even thinking of with my company and looking out at, you know, orders and tariffs and things that really do impact your bottom line.
Of course.
Am I going to have to change this product? Am I going to be able to keep this product? What is this going to look like? How much money is this going to be? To have to go into environments where people maybe aren't optimistic at all. What advice would you give them to stay focused on like them, you know, continuing to stay optimistic despite what is continually being shown to them or thrown at them as a leader?
Yeah. Great question. And so if we were just sitting at Starbucks having a conversation talking about this, I would share what I've been doing this year. So every year, you know, I'm responsible for hundreds of employees at this time, about 400 almost between the two companies. And every year I want to be a better leader, a better guide, you know, right? If we have rocky, you know, if the storms are coming, I want to be inspired. I want to make the companies grow through this. I want the teams to feel good. And I also have certain companies that are getting hit with the same exact stuff, right? So I've got this philosophy this year after I've read a bunch of books going in. I did a bunch of interviews. I'm just trying, how do I become a better leader, more efficient leader, and get more things done in this new year in 2025? And what I would suggest is to narrow down your goals. We all, as crazy entrepreneurs, as we go, we don't realize we get multiple things going on and more. And then we see a good idea. We're part of a mastermind. One of your members comes up and you're like, why aren't we doing that on LinkedIn? And why aren't we doing that on Pinterest? And we could do this and we could do that. And all of a sudden you don't realize. And what I've come to realize is me being a dreamer and shiny object syndrome and a crazy entrepreneur who tries to execute everything. It's like on the floor, there's a wood floor and there's a whole bunch of different planks, right? We have all these projects going on and we work a little bit on this one and then a little bit on this one and a little bit on this one. It'd be like if you had, Chris, have 10 projects at home. I want this done. I want the lens done. I want this done. I want the outside thing done. Let's do the thing on the beach. And it's like on the weekend, you almost don't know where to start.
No, totally.
And you're doing a little bit. It's almost like you have 10 turtles going a little bit at a time.
That's what it feels like.
Across the
which
desert.
It can be painful.
So what I'm trying to do this year with the departments of my company and me personally is you realize you can't multitask. You can't have 6 things going on and expect to be good in any of them. And then you wonder why they don't work out and you might think the employee doesn't. It's because the focus wasn't there. So my philosophy for this year is pick a goal, a big one, the one that moves the needle the most, the one that fixes your company if tariffs stick, which in hindsight, I don't think they're going to, but who knows? But if tariffs stick, what is the biggest goal that you have? And you could have 5 or 6, and I'll tell you why this is so important. And for those of you listening, what is the goal that would move the needle the most towards the human, the woman, the man you want to become? What is that goal? And what I would suggest is make it bigger than you think. This is a new philosophy. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Is if you have a company and you're doing 20 million a year, and I say to you, hey, next year, let's go to 22, 10% increase. Your brain goes to, what do I need to maximize? How do I fix the block and tackling? How do I save a little? How do I make a little more? How do I maximize the team? If I said to you, you're doing 20 million, Chris, you got to get to 40 next year. It stretches your brain in ways you did when you first started.
Yeah.
You see, when we first started, we had crap, none of us.
Yes.
Right? We've had these conversations.
Yep.
We had to dream about shit that if you told your family, Laura, we had the chance to, your family like, what are you insane?
I couldn't even tell them.
Right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden we get in business and we start doing things and we don't realize we protect a little. We get in maintenance mode. We want to make sure nothing breaks. And we forget to be that crazy dreamer that when you went 0 to 1 million or whatever that is, that was the most unlikely thing in the history of the world.
For sure.
So if you're at 20 or 10 million, why can't you double it?
Yep.
So all I know is I've been trying to push my team to have bigger stretch goals, and I'm watching them come up with innovative stuff. And when they go, but I got this, then I'm like, no, we're going to do, instead of 10 turtles going across the desert, you're going to collapse them and have one rabbit run until you take it all the way to the end and it either wins or fails. And then you come back and grab the next one and go all in.
Good, yep.
Right? So I think that could apply to anybody. No business, starting a business. What is the one needle moving goal in your life? And how do you make it bigger? Make it scary. That's number one. But this is I'm sorry, I've been in business for 40 years this year, which is insane.
Wow.
But this is the one that I think is changing it for me, is once you set that goal, what are the constraints holding you back from achieving it, and attack those constraints one at a time, obsessively, just one at a time. Because what I was looking at with my teams and myself, if you got 10 goals and they each have 5 constraints, that's 50 problems. You're not solving any of them.
No, not a chance.
You're dabbling. You're hoping one, right? You're juggling plates. But if, for example, I'm going to give you an example in office, actual team, sales team, something changed with the dialing system, new regulations. And where they used to, if a dialer reached out to our people, they would contact 20% of the people it would call. And it's really just calls saying, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Can we help? Something changed. It's down to 7%.
Oh, wow.
They don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
They've been talking about it for months. I sat down with our sales leader the other day. I'm like, what's your main goal? Inspire, impact, and serve more people. Okay. And then he listed 10 other things. Whoa, what's the main goal? Is we want to get to this metric. I'm like, okay, what's the main thing holding you back? Well, we need more people. We got to talk to more clients. He went through 20 things. I said, what is the main thing? He's like, now we're down to 5. I'm like, no, the main constraint. He's like, we're not talking to enough people. And they don't have a system for it. I said, guaranteed there's a system out there. I know, I'm just juggling out. I said, what if you just took the next 5 days and did nothing but find that solution? He started to go, no. What's the main problem or the main goal? Okay, main constraint, a dialer that could help us contact more people. Guess what happened by Thursday? That was Monday. Found it.
Amazing.
He's been talking about it for 3.5 months. You know why? Because it was a problem amongst many. When it was the only problem, I know you. I know your tenacity. You could solve anything. If the only thing was, hey, my product is going to go up 18%. I know you. If you had nothing else to think about for an entire week, I know you could find a way where maybe when they buy a product, there's a different enhancement they could buy all month, or they could get it delivered, or there's a bigger version, or there's a gold version. I don't know. I'm making stuff up.
Totally.
But if it was a bigger goal, stretched out of your mind, not just how do I protect if tariffs go up, more like, no, how do I double while tariffs happen?
Yes.
Your brain's going to think crazy shit, right? And then you go, but what would stop me? Well, these 3 things. Well, I'm only going to focus on this one thing. I'm telling you, I feel like I've been in business for 40 years. I feel like I've been faking it. Like, how did I do what I do without this? And I know most of you might be listening, you get it, but it's just a different frame.
Yeah.
So goal, singular goal or less goals, stretch it, then figure out the constraints, attack them one at a time. And as you attack them, widen the circle as much as needed. Meaning I come up with this constraint. It's like, hey, Dean faced this. Maybe him and reach out to me, reach out to Chris, reach out to all of our other amazing friends that you're connected. Somebody's got the answer, right?
Yep.
If you're focused on one thing. Then the third part is, how are you going to measure your progress? Because when we're in the thick of stuff, we're working our tails off. And the only metric we sometimes focus on is the company doing better or not?
Yep,
but we're
totally.
making progress along the way. We always beat ourselves up. We never look in the rear view mirror as far as we come. A lot of times you're kicking ass. Look what you guys are doing. And sometimes, like, you look and you see somebody doing more, or a bigger podcast, or sold more books, or has a bigger plane.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm so
All the
slow. Oh, what is
What
wrong
am I even
with us?
doing?
I've been doing this for 8 years. Why am I not? Like,
Yes.
But you know what changes that? You just glimpse in the rearview mirror and go, look how far I came.
Yeah.
So you have to measure your progress, or you don't give yourself the energy. And then the last and most important piece is deadline.
Yeah.
None of us do anything without a deadline. I don't know about you guys. If,
No,
it's,
it's
if
true.
it's due on Monday, I'm working on Sunday night or Monday morning.
Yep.
Right? Did that since high school. I'm still doing it.
Never
Still
changes.
can't change it, unfortunately.
And then where a deadline can really help, like you stretch the goal, shorten the deadline.
Yes. Condense the box.
Condense the box, because we all know, like, if someone says, hey, we want to double your business over the next 5 years. right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do anything tomorrow? If it's a 5-year plan, 3-year plan, do you do anything tomorrow?
No,
you're like, I got
year
it.
4.
It's in there.
Year 4, month 11.
Yeah, exactly. But if you said, oh my God, I got challenged to double my business in the next 12 months. Tomorrow you're on a call going, how the hell do we do it? What's the first thing, right? You just condense the time. And then the way I look at it is I'd rather put the hard work, like I love working hard, so do you guys, but I'd rather, if you want to take your business next level, I'd rather condense a year where things are really difficult. Maybe you miss a few dance recitals or date nights or a few friends at dinner. You miss it for a year. They wonder, your friend's like, where the hell are those two for a year? Where is Dean for a year, right? And then all of a sudden you emerge and it's like, I'd rather live the hard way for a short period so I can live the easy way longer.
For sure. Yep. We literally said that on our walk this morning. I said, this is definitely going to be that year where maybe people are like,
where'd they go?
Yeah, wondering like why we're saying no so much, because we're at a place where we had plateaued a bit, and we know what it takes to get out of that.
Yep.
And not even plateaued in a bad way, but in a way that like the growth is like internally, I'm just not happy because I know there's so much more. And if we don't have a year like the years we used to in the beginning, then we're always just going to stay right here. And we've been asking ourselves the question, we talk about our goals and where we want to be, and we say, who do we need to be? It's a great question. What person would we have to become? I love the focus though. Like the one thing that is, even missing for me right now is like, what's that one focus? Because I have so many different focuses.
And without it, a fuzzy target you don't hit. If you got your glasses off and you got bad prescription, I can't hit a target. Put your glasses on, you're like, oh, there it is. It's right there.
Yes. So Dean, what do you do? Like, because you have so many important things. Are you literally every week right now kind of going, what's my one thing? Like,
it is.
Getting really
and
clear,
what helps,
letting things fall.
So for me personally, I do that. But also I'm trying to get my team. In fact, I just created something yesterday, literally yesterday, because I've been preaching this to the team hard since January 1, both teams. And I created a document, a one-pager that has those 4 questions on it. And then underneath, I give them an example. And I said, from this point forward, I need to know what your thing is, what constraints you're working on, because I want to know if I can help you with your constraints, what's your measurement, and what's your deadline. And I am pushing the team. It's my new framework for the company, because therefore, if they take some of those most important things on their plate, it kind of takes it off my plate.
So good.
Do you make that an opt-in?
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah,
As
make
make
that
it
one
an
sheet an
opt-in.
opt-in.
I'm like, can I please opt in for that?
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Well, I'll send it to you guys.
That's
okay,
incredible.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll give you my email in exchange. You already have it.
When we first met, you guys bought a house down the street for me, and you guys were walking by my house. Somebody told me you guys walked by, and then I ran into you. And I remember one of the first times you came over our house, and we were sitting outside talking. And I was in that phase of my life where I knew the next year was going to be one of those hustle years. And I'm not saying this because I'm here with you guys, but I really enjoyed. I felt we hit it off immediately.
Oh yeah, so fun.
We went to dinner, and after dinner, I'm like, I got in the car with my wife. I'm like, they're friends for life, and it felt comfortable and easy. And I mean that. Like I feel that way about you guys. But I also told you I'm in a really busy phase of my life.
Yes.
I have 4 kids. I had 2 young ones at the time. They're still young, 2 and 5. Our company that I co-founded with Tony, Mastermind, was taking off like a rocket ship. We were adjusting for COVID, all these things. And I'm like, I just want you to know, I really enjoyed you guys, and I hope we stay friends forever. But most people are going to think, if you really liked us, how come he's not calling us and going back to dinner? And I'm like, I might not see you for a year.
Yep.
Do you remember me saying that?
Oh, yeah, we totally
I said, but if you can
blast.
appreciate a friendship where I truly care about you, I'll be here for you no matter what you need, always.
Yep. And you have.
And vice versa. So I understand that phase. And I tell you, if I look back in my life, those years or whatever time I put in, the lift is massive.
Yeah.
So worth it.
The lift is massive. I heard somebody say once that commitment and convenience don't live on the same side of the street.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Right? Because we want the convenience of doing all the fun things and being with our friends and make sure we don't miss a birthday or an anniversary, and we meet here and we go to the winery and we do the thing and then we do the other thing. And like, that is convenient and awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes if we do that the whole time, we don't have the commitment to get those big lifts. We can ride where we are.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean that everybody has that desire to do so. And if you're listening right now, you might just want to get to that first level. That's great. Then you're going to have commitment over convenience for a short period of time. Then enjoy the convenience for a while.
Yes.
Party, do your thing, travel, but then you're going to get to a certain point and go, this is stale. This is flat. Then you go back to the commitment.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So we've been talking a lot about leadership, right? And how you're leading your team and how Lori's leading her team and all the advances, just bury ourselves away for a year. But let's now switch it to the solopreneur or the personal brand individual that's trying to go from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 2. What kind of limiting beliefs are they facing right now? What's the easiest way for them to take action?
Totally got it.
Let's address that group.
Yeah. There are so many things, and there are limiting beliefs. It's your surroundings, and we could talk about a bunch of them, but one that I've really been focusing on more is
the hardest part about starting a business is often getting started. Build your business in just 10 clicks in 10 minutes. Starting your business should be simple. Get more when you start your business with Northwest Registered Agent. Your entire business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Northwest Registered Agent has been helping businesses launch and grow for nearly 30 years. If you want to build your business while keeping your personal information secure, Northwest is the partner you need. In just 10 clicks and 10 minutes, they'll form your business, create a custom website, and set up your local presence wherever you need it. Form your business for just $39 plus state fees, backed by real business experts with decades of experience. Protect your identity and keep your home address private by using Northwest's address on your information documents. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and set up your business in just 10 clicks in 10 minutes. Visit northwestregisteredagent.com/earn and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at northwestregisteredagent.com/earn. So for the past few years, Chris and I have been in a really exciting, busy season of travel, whether it's for the podcast or speaking or meeting with our teams who are all over the country for both of our startups, with all the traveling that we do for work, for holidays, and also having had a lake house for 3 years that we only spent summers in. I often thought that it would be so awesome to have another family enjoy our home while we're away. We've made so many memories in Airbnbs over the years. We love to gather our family and friends together in a home away from home, whether it's for an annual Christmas ski trip that we do, or because we always want to travel back to our family for Easter every single year. And I love the idea of your home getting to be a space where other families get to make lasting memories while you get to make a little extra cash. Did you know Airbnb has a co-host network that can take care of all of the details for you? With the co-host network, you can hire a quality local co-host to take care of your home and guests. Experienced co-hosts can support you with everything from creating your listing to managing reservations, messaging guests, and more. Find a co-host at airbnb.com/host.
I've never worked for anybody.
Yeah.
Right. I started my own thing in high school, cutting firewood. And then I went to cars and then real estate. So I've never worked for anyone. So I think I ignored this one for a while. So I like talking about this one the most because I never looked through the lens of being an employee because I never worked for anybody. I've never had a career.
Interesting.
I never got a paycheck from anybody. Ever in my entire life. I never had a boss. Imagine that. I've never had a boss in my entire life.
Wow.
I was just the kid in high school that was a dreamer, that my friends loved me, but they thought, this kid, he's not going to college. His family doesn't have money. He lived in a damn trailer. The only trailer park in our town I lived in when I was a kid. So what I've come to realize is there's a big chunk of people listening right now that have a career that are hoping for something else. Wouldn't that be true?
Yep.
Without realizing it, I think we're taught this, and I'm not knocking it because thank God for career people. The people that work for us, our teams, amazing. Where would we be without incredible people to be on our teams and work alongside of us?
Literally nowhere.
Right? Yeah. But here's what I think. In the wrong career, I think you go to school, you try to get good grades. You try to get good grades in college, trying to get the best job. And I don't think anybody approaches their job and goes, hey, I just want to get in here. I want to be complacent. I hope I get a little raise. I hope they don't see me. I don't think anybody starts that way. But I believe so many people have the ambition. I'm going to get raises. I'm going to get promotions. I'm going to help run this company. And then over time, maybe their boss doesn't hear them or they're not seen. Maybe they're in a boardroom and they try a couple of times and it's never taken. They see a way to make their department efficient, but someone else gets called because they know somebody gets called to the promotion. And I think there's a time where you just let it go and go, well, this is the way it is in the world. You just,
you give up.
I'll just, hey, I'll do my thing. They'll put some money in my 401k and hopefully make it to 65. And there's a time that you put your dreams and your emotions just in check. I believe it. And I've had the opportunity to speak to so many people where I have hundreds of thousands of people live. And I've watched when I just said what I shared and I'll watch tears come down eyes or hands raised. And the only reason I say that is what you don't realize is all of a sudden you tuck away the innovation. You tuck away your creativity. You tuck away that inner innovator, that hungry person, the person that's resourceful, that could figure out anything, and you just kind of coast. And then you get people in your life go, well, you could be happy. You got that great job. You don't even have to do much and you make it. Yeah, but the inside is dying.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, we might come on, or Tony Robbins and I, when we do our big events, come on and go, time to do your own thing. And you don't even know why you feel this hesitation. Like I used to take my kids' crayons and draw the logo on the back of their paper. Why did I stop doing that? It's because you slowly got pushed back to your voice doesn't matter, that you're not enough, that you don't know enough. And then all of a sudden, Tony and I, or you guys will say, you are enough, you know enough. You're just lacking the blueprint. Like what I always think about my mom when my parents got divorced, she worked 3 jobs to make nothing. And I always look at my mom as she was like a badass without a blueprint.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Right? And so I think the hesitation in some, and there's lots of reasons. It is the story. It is so many things that we could talk about that. But the career thing, I think that one creeps up on people. You've had someone tell you what to do, when to show up, how to show up. You're building someone else's dream, so you give up on yours.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we might come by an event and say, start doing your own thing. Be a creator, create a workshop, do your own mastermind, do a workshop, build a community. And I think without realizing, you let the guardrails of the job go up. Even though you don't like the road you're on, you can't go over the cliff. Right. And then brain starts thinking, oh, if I do my own thing, the guardrails go down. I could drive off the cliff. Yeah. And that restriction that you felt is actually the thing that's holding you back from unleashing who you're meant to be. Right? We're living someone else's life in some areas. So I believe if you can face that and go, hey, every new level has a new devil. Yep. Everything you do has a good and a bad, right? I could be in this job that's kind of safe, but I don't want to get to the end of my life and realize I missed it. Right. That's a little more painful to me. So what I'd say is it's time to investigate. It's time to just explore. We talked about this before. Find a hunger on why you want to do it, right? We were talking about limiting beliefs. Find a new belief that you can do anything. Secondly, I think we find somebody. This is something we're definitely not taught in school. Find somebody who's already done what you want to do, right? We know this. This is our lives. That's why you run masterminds. Model, proven practices. Yep. If I want to learn something I don't know, I'm going to find somebody who's already done it, right? And it's just a new way of thinking. So if you find a little bit more hunger, if you realize the story you've been telling yourself hasn't served you, so you have a little bit different story, you think outside the box, you say you're brave and bold enough, then find somebody already doing something that you like and model them. And lastly, make sure it's an industry that has the opportunity to grow, not die with all the changes coming on. If you can do those 3 things and realize that the career might have been good for a while, it got you out of Egypt, but it's not taking you to the promised land. You feel dead on the inside, and that career has actually been the thing that you feel safe, but is it really safe to get to the end of your life and realize you missed it? So I think there's a lot of ways to approach it, but hopefully something I said sparked to just be an investigator. It doesn't, when people hear something new, it's not like you have to make a dramatic change today, but be bold and brave enough just to investigate, look under the hood, try some things out, right?
You said a badass without a blueprint when you referenced your mom.
I know.
That one hit me. There's so many people, and this is what I respect about you and Tony, is you go out of your way to provide the blueprint to millions of people instead of keeping it to yourself. That phrase right there, that'll stick with me.
So tell me, for somebody listening right now who you just lit a fire, they're like, okay, great. Tell me the blueprint. What do I do? Do you believe, what is the belief? Does everybody need a personal brand? Are you telling your kids right now that they need a personal brand? Is it too saturated? What does that look like?
Here's the cool part is I love what Tony and I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have the opportunity, we teach people to have their own personal brand, to be a creator, to take their life experience and turn it into a product, right? It's what he's been doing for 46 years and me for 29. We got 75 years in it between us. I believe it's such a perfect time. This industry, I think it's in its infancy, if you want to know the truth.
Wow.
The world is, think about it. If I've been in it 28 years. If you were at dinner with people 5 years ago, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and said, I have a coach. At a dinner table 15 years ago, people are like, what do you mean you have a
what?
coach?
Yeah, like,
Are you on a soccer
basketball
team?
or what?
Yeah. Are you in basketball? Exactly. Like, when you have a coach, right? It would actually be weird. You say, oh my God, I want to be better at gardening. I want to be better at whatever. I bought a course. Like, what do you mean?
Like
now, go to dinner with 5 people now. Say I have a coach. Oh my God, we have a love coach. I have a health coach.
Yep.
Oh, I went through menopause. I have a coach. Or I went through a marriage and trimester 4, or I went through a birth. Trimester 4 is killing me. So I have a coach helping me feel more positive.
4th trimester coach.
Yeah, 4th trimester.
Exactly.
A sleep coach for your kids.
Yes.
Right? We had a sleep coach, a virtual sleep coach for our second baby. Like, and it shows in this industry, they predict it to be $1 trillion a year by 2027.
Wow.
It's 2 years from now.
Wow.
Right? So if it's an emerging industry, you don't have to worry about tariffs. You don't have to worry about inflation. You don't have to worry about product cost or inventory, because you've already paid for the product with your experience. And what people are realizing is, I just want to learn from somebody who's a chapter ahead of me. Right? So what I want to share is, we're doing a big event coming up, and what we love to do, and we should have about 800,000 people sign up from about 100 countries, is just show people this is one of your opportunities. Let us show you why this industry, why now, why you. And what I love about it is, it's okay if it's not for somebody. We know we're waking people up.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'd say, you say, what do I say to my kids? My son's here, who's 16, on his phone over there. He's bored. But I have an 18-year-old as well, and a 5 and a 2-year-old. They got some time. But the 2 older kids, we had lunch yesterday, and I've told them the same thing since they were little. I said, you can go to college if you want to go for the experience. Some people aren't going to like this, but unless you're going for a specific profession, I think college is useless.
Yeah.
And some people aren't going to be happy I said that. Yep. Be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, I get it. But 76% of people who get a degree don't use it.
No.
And so what I said is, if you want to go for the experience, which I know he does, I'm not sure my daughter does, I said, that's fine. The other option is, find something you're passionate about and go mentor under somebody for 2 years. That's the route my daughter's most likely going to take. She likes interior design. Right now, we're looking for great interior designers. I'm going to let her reach out, her send the letter. I said, you can tell them that you are going to be the best employee they've ever had, and you're free. So because dad works hard, I can't give you a handout. I can't make your life easy. If you don't want to go to college or mentor, you get nothing from me. Not a car, nothing. I love you. You can live in my house and eat. That's about it. But if you go serious and you go work for somebody and you are the best employee they ever had, I'll support you rather than paying for college. And that person will get a great employee for free. You can learn what took them 20 years, condense it in 2, and you could start off where they left off. So that is, you say I would love my kids to be in the knowledge industry, to share information, because information is becoming the new currency.
Yes.
Knowledge is the new currency. The value of it's going up. It's not taxed. It's not tariffed. It has no inflation issues, and you don't have to ship it. You don't have to warehouse it. You get to change people's lives for a living. Like, look what you guys do. I watch your masterminds. I watch people don't want to leave when your masterminds are over. They gain knowledge and skills to go faster. You guys get to make a living and thrive by empowering other people. So Tony and I show that over a 3-day event, and we love doing it because it's our life. We owe a debt of gratitude to it. But what I'd say is, if it's not your industry, it's okay, but come be inspired that you're meant for more, because you will leave being with us knowing you are enough, knowing you're good enough, knowing you could do whatever you want as long as you had a blueprint.
It kills the doubt. And you guys give the blueprints. Lori and I watch every year. You guys do this every year. Selfishly was the word I'm looking for there. Selfishly.
Selflessly.
No, selflessly. There we go.
Say it fast enough. It doesn't matter.
It's your way of giving back. What makes this year different or more important than the other years that we've tuned into?
Well, thank you for that. And you guys are always here supporting, and I'm beyond grateful, and we take good care of your people. This year's different because the world has changed completely. I mean, just if you had to give some reasons why 50% of businesses don't make it, especially solopreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know solopreneurs? I went on ChatGPT or Google and 70 to 80% of solopreneurs aren't in business in 5 years.
Wow. I believe it.
And when you break down why, the main reason is they lack the skills to run their own business, of course. They lack the blueprint and they lack the guidance, right? I'm stuck. What do I do? Oh, don't worry. We got this. How do I extract this? I'll do it. How do I lay out my teaching points? All right, let's do this. Do I coach? Do I do a community? Should I turn this into a course? Should I do a mastermind? Should I do a Zoom workshop? I'm not sure. And when you say I'm not sure, there's a part of you goes, I'll do it later, and you don't go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't know it, how do I market? How do I get people to say yes to me? I'll do that later. You never go back to it, right? So this year's a big year because we just spent the last couple of years training an AI to think like Tony and I do in this industry. 76 years of doing this. We still do. We've done 13 live events averaging 1 million people each. We just did our 13th. This will be our 14th one, right? So we're still doing it at a high level. We have the history. And now we've trained an AI to think like us. It's not chat. It's not. And we're gonna allow people to use that during the event to see what it's like to go, hey, how do I write this? I don't know. Let's ask Tony and Dean. I don't know how to get the sales page done. Let's ask Tony and Dean.
So good.
I don't know how to get my first sale. Let's ask Tony and Dean. So imagine having the opportunity for the blueprint from a couple of guys who've been doing it forever. And I'm not saying this for any other reason. This is our passion project. We don't have to do this. We want to do this. So now you get to learn from a couple guys who've been doing it forever and still at the top of their game.
Yep.
And then you have an AI that thinks like us, that's with you the entire time to make sure you don't get stuck. You have a guide that keeps moving. So I haven't shared this much, but we're calling it guided business development. We want to create a new category.
So good.
So we want to create a whole new category. Like if you go in business, if you don't have guided business development, GBD, if you don't have it, then you're not going to make it.
You're going to fall behind.
You're going to fall behind.
Because it's answers on demand.
But imagine having the education and then somebody who's with you the whole way and then having the tools to make it real. Like that's what we're calling guided business development. This is the first year we're sharing with the world what that looks like. And I'm like out of my mind excited.
People should show up just to get access to that. I've gotten to play with this. I've gotten to play with these. I don't think people understand how creepily accurate it is. It is like asking you and getting your real advice, not something from ChatGPT. It's like asking Tony and getting Tony's real advice.
ChatGPT is amazing. All AI is amazing. But we just have a whole team developed on loading in how we think, and they've been training it. So if it answers this way, it's like this is the modern way. It literally is. I joke with the team every year. The registration page, we want as many people as possible to register. So every year I am the architect of these. I've been architecting them for 20 years and I still do. It's my core competency. I can't outsource certain things. You should outsource a lot, but certain things that you're great at, you never outsource, right? So the page, what people land on to register, we're always fighting to make the highest percentage. If out of 100% of the people, I want 80% of the people, right? You don't get 80, 50 is a really good number, right? So every year I always mess with the team. I'm like, I hope someone can write better copy or a better headline to have a higher conversion. And no one usually beats me. I've been doing it a long time, right? But every year I want them to beat me. Last year somebody did.
Oh, no way. Somebody on the team.
No, our AI.
Oh, no way.
It beat me.
That's incredible.
And it's funny. Then the team's like, you finally got beat. And then I said, well,
or did you train
it
like
me?
That's
so
great.
it just came from a better version of me, right? So then they're like, but anyway,
people are going to get to use this.
They are.
During the event.
Yes.
That's wild. And they can go register at Thrive 850. That's Thrive850.com. Thrive850.com.
And it's free.
And it's free.
It's not kind
That's
of free. It's totally free. Yeah.
No, I love that you say that. Not kind of free, totally free. Like shed a little bit more light. Who's going to be speaking? Who's going to be teaching? Why should someone show up?
Yeah. So again, if you decide this industry isn't for you, you're still going to have the time of your life.
Yep.
I mean, where else do you get? It's Tony Robbins and myself. Matthew McConaughey's coming because he turned his book into a course. So he's going to talk about that. Jay Shetty, our friend Jay Shetty, and his wife. They're coming. Gary Brecka.
Oh, great.
He just came on because he, all his health stuff now turned into a digital format. He gets to impact millions rather than just the people in his clinic. But more than that, I love having highly successful people, but we're going to have 800,000 people from around the world, and we're going to highlight some of our ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Great.
Because they took their knowledge and turned it into a product. And the people that thought this could never be for me, I don't have a following, who would listen to me? I love busting all those myths and showing somebody a path to, a path to more. The fact of the matter is, and I'm not 100% certain, but we're about 65% women. Our mastermind, our company that we co-founded. And some people ask me why, and I think maybe
we're
it's
smarter.
because that's a true story. This is the decade of the woman entrepreneur for sure. No question. You guys probably both see it.
I can argue.
It definitely
truly,
is.
yes.
But I also think, like, people ask me why. We don't do it on purpose. Like, we don't pander. Like, we don't our sites aren't pink. Like, and that would be that would be so bad. Like, we just us.
Right.
And but I think it boils down to this whole badass without a blueprint.
Yeah.
I just said that for the first time out of my mouth about 2 weeks ago, right? When I was describing my mom. And I truly believe that I want to build something that if my mom would have had, if my mom had a blueprint, she would have killed it. So we build something for my mom, who's a badass, the best mom. Anything she did, everybody went to her for advice. She just didn't know the path. But also somebody dabbling in this industry or in this industry, why not come get the unfair advantage from Tony and I? Right? So it's. I think that's what we get to do. I think that's why it's become a movement. So not to talk about it anymore, but I think everybody should go. Everybody will leave with something.
Well, I love what you guys do because you do. It's not just the ability to learn that and get the blueprint, but you in Tony and Dean fashion, like, truly work people through all of the things that block them. And I think even if you're already in this business, that's why Chris and I get so much out of it, is it doesn't matter how many years we've done this, there's always something that can sneak into your brain.
Of course, like, when I watch you guys, we all learn from each other. Yeah,
we learn so much. And also, like, doubt can creep in over the years too, of like, it's good to get reattached to the industry, reattached to your why, kind of clear out the cobwebs of whatever, maybe something else like came in your brain, or maybe I'm getting too old for this. Maybe I'm getting, like, all these different things come up, and
you leave on fire.
Yes, you leave on fire. And I think that we have to plug into those things. And you guys are so incredible with doing it for free words for all of us, that you really have been industry leaders who always lift everybody up.
Yep. So that link is thrive850.com. If you want to get on for free, thrive850.com. Last question to put a bow on this thing.
Yeah.
I know that you guys spend hundreds or maybe thousands of hours organizing this.
Yeah, a lot.
Obviously spend days putting it on. You don't have to work anymore. You don't have to do this for anybody. You've already made your mark in the world. Why are you still working this hard to make this much of a difference?
I think it's a gift I wish everybody could get, is we all have to have a moving, compelling future, right? Yeah. If you don't, like, I always think of it, and I know there's probably a longer answer than a short ending, but we all need our lighthouse. And in most cases, most of us have reached goals that we once thought weren't possible, right? And once you do, you got to find something new that gets you out of bed, that compels you forward. Whether that's your first sale, your first independent check that you earned on your own, or the next level, we got to find something that drives us forward.
Purpose.
And, I've been blessed to pass so many things, like retiring my parents and so many things that I never could have dreamed possible. And right now, especially being partners with Tony, every time we talk, something that the conversation says, we have a lot of lives to change, Dean. Like, we got blessed with this gift. We got blessed with a megaphone and a microphone. There's a lot of people hurting. Like, we're talking about a generation that's struggling. When we talk, it's like, how do we don't care about politics. We care about people. Yeah. Right. And when you see this, you've been on it, hundreds of thousands of people, different backgrounds, different religions, different countries, different languages, different political views. For 3 days, everybody loves each other.
Yes. Yep.
Everybody's cheering for each other, to one another. I'm not talking about, I mean love, meaning we're all know we're meant for more. We're all together. And with Tony being my partner, it's like, how do we leave this world better than we found it? And this industry saved our lives. We both talk about Jim Rohn. He went to a Jim Rohn event, life changed. Yeah. I went to a Tony event, changed my life. So if we can leave this world and somebody says, I went to a Dean and Tony event and I shifted my life, then we're doing a good thing for the world.
You're just continuing the chain, right?
Exactly.
You went to Jim, you went to him, and you guys are just passing the baton down by doing this.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. You're both awesome.
Thank you so much for coming
Thanks for being on. We love and appreciate you.
And we'll see you next week, everyone.